Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 4OURPLAY podcast. It's Bella.
This is Jace.
Today's episode is all about a review about Naughty Nawlins. And Naughty Nawlins is a convention event that happens in New Orleans about every summer. It's usually June or July.
Yeah.
And it's been going on for 26 years now. And it's actually been our very first time going, even though we've been in the lifestyle for 10 years now.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Spoiler alert. We had such a good time. And so we're going to break it down. We're going to do a full review like we do, for any of our other trips, destinations that we go on. I will say, Naughty has so many things going on that I'm sure that there is things that we missed and that we might, not talk in depth about one thing or another thing, just because there is literally so much at this event that unless this was like a 5-hour podcast and I spent 4 weeks writing every detail down, I couldn't have said everything because there literally was so much going on. So that's just a little disclaimer. Like, there could be things that happened in addition that were also there that we don't mention just because there is so many things.
And also, if you are watching on YouTube and you happen to see that there are different episodes missing, that is because the audio version, we are able to talk about our story times. And so we can't put that on YouTube. So if you want to hear all of the spicy story times, and we have another segment where we talk about listeners' confessions and their juicy story times. So the last 2 episodes have been on the audio podcast. That's why they're not on YouTube. And you can find that at our website, 4OURPLAY.com/listen. So you can listen to all the juicy details and things that we can't put on here. So we just wanted to say that if you are a YouTube podcast watcher.
Yes. Also, if you are watching on YouTube and you see us constantly checking our phones this episode, it's because I wrote an outline so we don't forget things because there's so much stuff. First thing, which I feel like is how most of these podcasts always start out, but we just got to meet so many cool people. We had some people that came up and said that they, listened to the podcast or watched YouTube or whatever it was. And I just feel like we met so many amazing, kind people from all over because this event is so national and even international because we met people from other countries as well. But we met so many cool people, and that's always the biggest highlight to me really is just meeting so many wonderful friends and also seeing friends I hadn't seen a lot. There's a lot of people that come to this event that are also, content creators or club owners or whatever it is. So to see a lot of people that I haven't spent a lot of time with over the last couple of years was also nice just to be able to reconnect and hang out with friends. So that's, I know I always start that way, but that's, always a highlight for me.
There's something so special about putting a face to a supporter, and it never gets old. It never gets tiring. It is why we still are able to do what we're doing. It gives us, the motivation and stuff. Whenever people come up and say that our content has helped them in any way in their journey, it's just, I can never put it into words, but it's such a special feeling, and it makes the content that we put out and the things that we do, it makes making the content and being out there in a stigmatized community just that much more worth it. And so I thank you guys for supporting. If you ever see us at an event, please come up and say hi. We love making friends. And let's go ahead and get into the review so we're not being all sappy for any longer.
Well, I will say real quick before we do get into the review, we want to do, we always do groups for the cruises and things like that. And so if you guys do want to book Naughty Nawlins through us next year, we're going to do we'll try to do, a group dinner. We'll do some little swag we give out, meet and greet, things like that, just so that we can get to know everyone. We also have a little chat that you can talk to people beforehand so you can kind of make some friends. So if you go to 4OURPLAY.com/events, that's number 4OURPLAY.com/events, you can book Naughty Nawlins through us next year. We will be there. We are so excited about it. And so I just want to say that real quick before we jump into the review, but now we will actually get started. We'll start off with demographic. I would say it's pretty much your main swinger demographic. It's that 45 to 55-year-old age range, and you're going to have a lot of people, in their 30s, 60s, 70s. We met people in their 20s. So it is pretty much that normal bell curve, I would say, that you get with lifestyle events. It pretty much fell right down the line with that.
Also going to start off saying that this is not just a swingers event. This is an open convention where it's accepting of people of all different types of alternative relationships. Although I will say a majority of the people who were there are in the lifestyle. It's not only catered to the lifestyle. And so that's really cool that it's being more of a diverse event rather than, I feel like some of the other events are very, very swinger centric. Again, not saying you're not going to meet a lot of people who are in the lifestyle, because it is a majority, but I think what they're trying to do is make it to where it's more. How the ticket system is set up is you get a package. And so that is a either Wednesday through Sunday package. They also have a Thursday through Sunday package. That's going to get you into the convention itself. And so that's going to give you the badge so you can go to all of the different seminars, the parties, the bar parties, and we're going to get into that later, and like the playrooms, those kinds of things. So to get access to the entire event, you first buy your package. In addition, you do have to have a hotel room at one of the host hotels in order to get that package. They do have day passes as well that you can get if you're not wanting to stay on site and you're only wanting to do part of the convention. They have day passes that are only for the Nopsy. They have day passes that are only for the Aster. Honestly, I think if you're gonna go, definitely go for the entire package and get a hotel room if you're wanting the full experience. We personally wouldn't want to just at least travel outside of, like, out of state or even out of country. There were people who came in from out of the country to go to this event. We definitely think it's more worth it to stay the entire time, whether that be Wednesday through Sunday or Thursday through Sunday.
But if you are like a New Orleans type resident or someplace that, you know, even Louisiana, somewhere close, and you only have the weekend off, I can see it being worth going for a couple day passes. But I definitely agree with Bella. If you can make the whole 4-day event work, I definitely think that is a better option. I think it's more fun. I think you make more connections that way. But I mean, I think it's worth it, you know, if that's the only time you have to go ahead and do a day pass, because Saturday and Sunday were the busiest days. So I mean, if you're going to go on the weekend, like, that makes sense too. But I definitely do think that going for the whole time, staying at the hotels, like, that's going to be the most fun and like all-encompassing experience of Naughty Nolans. We've also heard that it's kind of like the cruises, where a lot of people come every single year, so you see the same people every year and make these friends where it just keeps growing. And so that's something else that's always exciting to me, is whenever, and it says a lot about an event, whenever you have an event that people just keep returning to, there's clearly something really good about that event. So the fact that we've met people that have been going for 15, 20 years to this event says so much about it. And so I'm looking forward to, you know, like next year being able to go and see faces of people that I already knew from last year at Naughty. So I always think that's kind of like a little, I don't know, bonus type fun thing.
It's like a reunion for a lot of people. Size-wise, it was pretty dang big. There was about 3,000 people in attendance, and it was busy pretty much at all times. I feel like the difference between this event and then maybe like a cruise or a resort or something like that is there's so many different places you can be. So other than at like the nighttime parties, it felt more dispersed. So that was kind of cool, but overall, very big, lots of people, very diverse. So with the 3,000 people, there are 2 different host hotels. And then there are also, in addition to those, overflow hotels. And of course, you can also get the daytime passes as well. The main hotel is and has been the Aster Hotel, and that has the majority of where I would say like the action mostly is. There's the vendors there's 2 ballrooms, and then there's always at night there's 2 night parties going on at the same time. There's a lot of playrooms. Most of the playrooms are there's a ton of seminars going on, so that we would say is like the hub is the Aster. This year the secondary hotel was at the Nopsy, and that was actually where we stayed. We would have stayed at the Aster if there was room, but we didn't know we were going until about like 2 months before, so they were already sold out. That's another thing, this event does sell out every year. So if you are wanting to go, we would recommend, especially if you're wanting to stay at the main hotel, to book as early as you can, just to make sure that you get a room and you get a ticket.
There also is overflow hotels. So I think this year they had 3 overflow hotels, which shows you how large the event is, which those are nice, but you know, you're not going to have like the parties just downstairs in your lobby type thing. So if you don't get a ticket, like there still is options for those types of things. But I definitely think being at one of the main 2 hotels makes it 1,000 times better than being at an overflow hotel.
And the main hotel has all of the action. I wouldn't say all. The main hotel has a majority of the action, but the Nopsey hotel was overall a nicer hotel. And so we would say Nopsey kind of had a bit more luxury, and then the Astor, it was not a bad hotel in any means, just compared to the Nopsey, just not as nice. It's a Crowne Plaza hotel. So I mean, the two hotels aren't too far from each other. The Nopsey was about a 7-minute walk, and so it really wasn't bad. The only thing was at night, the logistics was a little bit more difficult just because we were wearing, you know, more spicy clothing, and that is not like, it didn't feel very comfortable to make that walk from one place to the other in what we were wearing. But they did have shuttles that took you from one hotel to the other that you could take advantage of. The only thing is that they weren't always there, so you had to wait sometimes up to about 20 minutes or so. And then one of the nights it rained, and so that's another thing. But of course you could get taxis if you wanted. So they definitely had things in place to get you from one place to the other. The two shuttles, or there were multiple shuttles, but there were a couple golf carts that held about 6 people ish, 4 to 6 people. And then they had a big, like a party bus type shuttle as well.
And I think that does make sense, because I think Bella's underselling the Nopsey a little bit. There definitely was events there every single day. There was parties there every single day. The pool parties there were really nice. Like, there was a ton of stuff going on there. I just think in comparison, it didn't feel as busy, because I definitely feel like there was classes there. Like, there was everything going on there. It just wasn't as packed. And so I feel like possibly, like, if you're gonna wait to, you know, go over there, it takes 15 minutes to get a little ride. I feel like it kind of goes with the feel of the Nopsey. I feel like a lot of people that are gonna stay at the Nopsey are possibly going for more of that chill, relaxed type vibe. So
that's true.
If you're just trying to get over to the other hotel because you're like, I'm gonna go to one of the other parties, see what it's like, but you're not like rushing to get down there, a 15-minute wait really isn't bad. And so I think that it kind of goes in with that the actual Nopsey itself just has more of a chill feel overall.
Next, we'll touch on the different types of parties that there are. So we're going to start off with the daytime parties. And within the daytime parties, there's 2 different hotels. So there's always simultaneous parties going on at the same time at the 2 hotels. So both had pool parties. Pools itself at both hotels the party itself was pretty much the same. The Nopsey had a little bit of a nicer feel overall just because of the hotel had a little bit more of a luxurious feel, but the party itself was very, very similar. In addition to the pool parties, there's also various daytime bar takeovers and different parties throughout Bourbon Street. So they had a schedule that you could use, and you can see everything going on, and it was very organized.
Super organized.
That you could do it through an app called Sked, SCHED, and then even in there you could choose the things that you liked and then add them to your personal schedule. So it was super organized.
Super cool. And
they also had it like a web page version as well, and within those you could see a description of what everything was, if it was like a speaking, who was doing that, who was in charge or sponsoring that specific bar crawl or bar takeover.
They also had kind of like different themes for all of those. So there was one that was, and all of them were like at different bars as well. So it wasn't like it was one bar or 2 bars every day. It was so like you could go to a ton of different bars on Bourbon Street. But like there was one that was a foam party, and so, you know, there was foam obviously. And then like Swing Nation, they had a boot scooting rodeo, which was kind of like a country theme one. The Desire Temptation Cruise people, they did one, and so there were all just different ones. We went to a lot. Some had live music, there was dancing, there was ones that the resorts put on, and they did, you know, like little contest, like almost like a Mr. and Mrs. Temptation type contest. There was like multiple at the same time, so you could kind of like pick and choose what you wanted to go do. And so I thought it was really nice that you had the option. It's also kind of fun that I feel like so much of the time at these events and stuff, you're at one place, but it's cool that they utilize Bourbon Street because it's one of the most famous bar streets in the entire world. So the fact that you have all of your nighttime parties and stuff at the hotels, but in the daytime, you can stay at the hotel, you can go to class and stuff like that, but you can also go to a party on like one of the most famous party streets in the world, I think is also really cool.
With the daytime parties, they also had daytime themes this year, which was nice. I will say, I don't think a lot of people really stayed on theme with the daytime parties.
Not the daytime
Yeah,
themes.
so that's not something that, you really need to like super think about, but it was easy daytime themes.
Yeah, so the daytime themes, there was a sports one, a funny t-shirt one, a pineapple one, and then like your favorite band or music. So I definitely didn't see like that many people on theme during the daytimes, but it is fun that like they at least have the option. So if you want to do a daytime theme, you have the option of doing a daytime theme.
Also, you had to have your badge to do everything. And so to go into these bars, they were completely taken over, and it was only people who were part of Naughty Nawlins could go in there. So it felt very safe. And so there was security. Everybody was checking and making sure you had a badge before you could go in. So we felt really good about that. It wasn't just like random people could just stroll on in.
Yeah, and all the security were people that were working for Naughty. And so it wasn't even just like random security. It was also security of people that you know are like-minded, which I feel like makes you feel even more secure. So I did really appreciate that.
Moving into the nighttime parties, there was always a nighttime theme. And so the themes this year were Haunted Naughty, Out of This World, Pineapple Pride, and Mardi Gras Masquerade. They do the Mardi Gras Masquerade on the Saturday night, and they do that every year. So that's like the one thing that for sure will stay the same every single year. And regarding the themes itself, probably the most we've ever seen people dress up.
I would say 90%, maybe 95, 92%. It was a high percent, like the most I've ever seen people dress up on theme.
And a lot of people went, all out too. So don't feel like you have to, but if you want to, you definitely can. There was a couple who were Alien versus Predator, like costumes. They wore full legit costumes for the Out of This World theme, and that was crazy incredible. The nighttime parties itself, they at the two different hotels, so at the Astor they had 2 ballrooms, huge ballrooms. That was 2 different parties. One had more of a mix, I would say, of music.
Yes, I agree.
It had 80s, 90s into top 40. I mean, it was just like a really good mix overall.
That was like the main party, I would say.
I feel like that's where it always started off, at the Astor. If you were at the Astor, that's where the party started off there. And the party started at 9. And then the other room at the Astor, which was it was on the same floor. And so you just walked right across. It was really
down the
easy.
hallway, yeah.
That was a specific EDM room. And so that one seemed to get busier towards later in the night. It almost seemed like people went from one to the other. And we will say, we felt like the EDM, at least I felt like the EDM room had a younger demographic versus the other room, but they were both fun.
Also, I really appreciated because in these rooms, you could tell they were like, I don't know if it's like a huge conference room or I don't know, like a ballroom, I guess is what it'd be for, but there was so many tables and chairs. And so it's not like, sometimes at a party, like there's not really a place to go and sit if you want to like just relax for a few minutes from dancing. Both of these rooms had an ample amount of chairs and seats. And so there was never a time that I was like, man, I want to go sit down for a minute. And there wasn't a chair. So
and it was a table.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even just like random chairs everywhere. It was like sit out. Not like at a wedding, but like kind of like at a wedding when there's like a bunch of tables where you can just go sit.
They had like decorations on them for like the different theme nights. Like it's so well done and it's so well put together. And you can tell that over 26 years, they have taken little things and like, this could make it better. This could make it better. This could make it better. And like when I was trying to think back about everything, there really isn't like things I would say this could make it better because it literally everything has been thought of for so long. So like even those little details that wasn't like written down as a part that we were going to talk about because I didn't even think about it because I said there's so many things here. And so it's really cool, like all those little attention to detail things that just make the night so much better. There's water everywhere. There's water stations everywhere. Same. So like you want to just get out a drink of water, sit down, it's always right there.
And you didn't have to wait at the bar. There were multiple bars set up within the floor that had all of the stuff going on at the Astor. And so there were 2 bars out in, I would say, I guess the walk area. There was a bar within both of the dance floors as well. And so you can purchase drinks there. They did have a sign that said you cannot bring outside drinks. So just be aware of that. And then the water, like Jace was mentioning, they had like water jugs. So it's not like you had to wait and get water from the bartender, which was really nice to do too. We haven't been to a lifestyle event that had visuals with the music like at Naughty.
Yeah.
I mean, they had, this is just specifically at the Astor, but the DJ setup itself was really nice. They were kind of a little bit above,
Like
I guess, went on
like
a
a stage.
and then they had visuals behind them. So almost think like a normal, typical nightclub, like you would go to in a downtown area, not a lifestyle like club. And then in addition to that, they had like projections on the walls,
Like the back walls, yeah.
and they had, you know, those laser kind of lighting going around. So it was a really cool atmosphere.
And if you guys want to see like kind of what some of the parties and stuff looked like, we vlogged every single day of this event. And so when this comes out, not all of our vlogs will be out yet, but we'll have a link to our YouTube channel down there so you can go watch our vlogs, because it kind of shows the day, it shows the nighttime parties, what the visuals looked like, and it really was cool. So we'll link that down below if you guys want to check that out.
The Nopsey Hotel's party was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
That banquet room was so pretty. It had projections on every single wall. They had chandeliers. I mean,
There's probably like 30-foot ceilings at least. Like, it was one of the coolest rooms I've ever seen a lifestyle party in, and it was very chill. I wish that there was more of a like, and I will say, we were always there earlier in the night. We were there from like when the party kind of was starting, right? At like 9 to 9:30 to maybe 10.
at the Nopsey.
Yeah. And I heard that like later on it picked up some, but not quite to the extent of the Astor parties. But I wish that, you know, maybe some of those parties picked up even more, because that room was so cool.
I think they're trying to get it to where it's more even throughout, but I think just because the Astor has more rooms, I think it just happens to be that it's busier over there.
Yeah.
That's like the only reason. But I wish it was busier at the Nopsey because it was so pretty. And the DJs there, amazing.
At those parties at the Astor and the Nopsey, I would say it stayed pretty busy pretty late as well. People definitely went out to the playrooms, and we will talk about the playrooms later, but I would say that at 2 o'clock there was still a ton of people dancing, especially in that EDM room. So the party stayed pretty busy most of the time, and so that's just another good thing to note, because lots of people went to the playrooms. Because there's so many people, the parties never really died down until late either, which I think is wonderful. And then also, I guess, nighttime party wise, if you want to call it that, Colette also works hand in hand with Naughty and Nawlins. They even had on your little badge, if you bought the full badge, that there was like, I think one day that was free, and then one day that was $20, and then it was like discounts to go to Colette, New Orleans,
which is a swingers club in New Orleans, and it was in between the Astor and the Nopsey. It was about a 3-minute walk from the Nopsey, so really close.
Yeah, and so they did parties there every single night as well. We went one night, which was on Friday night. DJ Life of Spice was DJing, and so we wanted to go to support our friends. And so we went there for probably around an hour and a half, from like 10 to 11:30 or so, I would say. And it was packed. And I've heard that throughout the whole entire week it's packed there, because you do not have to have like a badge to get into Colette. Colette's just open. And so I've heard a lot of people that aren't going to the convention, that are, you know, local or something, also go to Colette that weekend. And so when we went in there, I mean, it was packed, but it was such a fun party. People having such a good time. They were doing like an 80s, 90s type battle, DJ Life of Spice and the other DJ. And so it was just a really good environment. And so it was kind of cool that we went to the Nopsey party, we walked to Colette, went to Colette and partied there, and then we walked to the Astor and partied there. And all that's within 7 minutes of each other, which I feel like is really cool.
And that's the nice thing about the night parties, that because, and honestly, throughout the entire event, there's just so many things going on that you could hop from one place to another. Next is just various activities that the event offers that don't necessarily fall within different parties. And so we'll start from the daytime into the nighttime. There was a ton of different seminars that you could go to. The most seminars we have ever seen at any event ever.
By a mile.
Yes, including like the biggest, you know, cruise. And the reason why we keep bringing that up is because 3,000 people is a really, really big event, and there's not really anything comparable other than a cruise, a lifestyle cruise, because that's can hold the most amount of people.
Yeah, I would agree.
And so this felt like a land cruise, and we'll
Which
talk
I'd
more
heard
about
before.
that.
Yeah,
we'll talk more about that later. But so many different seminars and panels, and just even like discussion points. I guess it's not everything was just somebody standing there teaching you something. They had somewhere you could just go in, and then it was just like an open area that everybody could discuss about a specific topic.
Yeah.
And the seminars were so cool because it had everything from being a complete newbie or not even being in the lifestyle, or not even having any type of open relationship, and what you can learn from that, from complete knowing nothing into all the way to be people in the industry, and then going on industry tours and having industry conversations and discussions. So it was such a vast variety, and you could find something within every single part of that.
Yeah, and I said that's if you've been in lifestyle for no time at all, you've been in it for 30 years. There's going to be something there for you. There's going to be a lot of things there for you. And also, most of them were included in your badge. I know when I was reading through the schedule, there was some of classes here and there that did cost an additional money, and you could, get a reservation for. But as a general rule, you could just walk into the classes, as many as you wanted, which I think is also really cool, because they said they had them every day, like from usually around 11 until usually 6 o'clock at night. There was classes going on. So you had so many times to take so many classes, which I think is always really cool about events.
They even had kink classes. They had some about rope. So they did have some hands-on classes, and some of the more hands-on ones were the ones that what Jace was talking about that had an additional fee.
There was, once I want to clarify again, there was these classes at the NOPSI as well, but more of them took place at the Astor.
They had an IV section that wasn't included. You paid extra, but that was nice that they had, a business there that was doing
recovery,
those things.
Yeah.
And within that room, there was a lot of stuff going on in that main front room, I'd say. So in addition to the IVs, they had times where you could go in and make name necklaces. So you could do arts and crafts.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the Freedom Parade more later, but they had areas there where you can make a poster, and that was really cool.
Another thing that I would put kind of in that category is the vendor booths. And so we had a vendor booth this year, and I guess there was different sections of vendor booths, and there was sections of vendor booths that were more selling things. And so you had games, clothing, floggers. There was these people that made these beautiful corsets that make them for like Dita Von Teese and like really these huge names. And so you had a bunch of people just selling different things like that. And then there was also a section that a lot of like clubs had stuff, and resorts, podcasts, things like that, where people more kind of just left out little goodies. So maybe it's stickers or chapstick or candy and just, a business card or whatever, just to familiarize yourself with different options, really. And so we had a vendor booth this year, and
so I wouldn't say we had a vendor booth. We had a booth. We had a booth as content creators, basically promoters, and being podcasters, having YouTube. And so we were over in that section. This is our first time going to Naughty, so we thought everyone was going to have a vendor booth. And that wasn't the case. So that's what Jace is talking about. So it's not that we specifically had a vendor booth. We just had a booth in general, and we just thought that we were supposed to vend since we have a shop.
Because we have a shop, we're like, oh yeah, we'll just bring hats and panties and, everything else that we sell. And so that's what we did. And I mean, a lot of people came up and bought things, and that's wonderful. So thank you for anyone who happens to be listening to this that did come up and support us, because I mean, it was so cool to get to sell stuff in person, because it's the same with meeting people. We sell stuff online all the time, but I don't see who it goes to. So it was cool to a lot of people bought earrings from us, and I was at Colette and we were at some night parties, and I just saw people wearing the earrings, and that was really cool to me to see people wearing it around. But we ended up not working at the vendor booth too much. We tried to have
barely at all.
We tried to have a balance of enjoying the parties, plus we already make so much content that we're creating, plus vending. We wanted to also enjoy the event. I didn't want to just work, because that's not why we come to these things. We love going to these events because we enjoy having a good time at them. So if anyone walked by our vendor booth a bunch of times and we never happened to be there when you were there, I apologize. We try to be there sometimes at night, sometimes in the daytime, but we were not the best vendors. And next year, we will not be selling stuff. We will just have a booth where we leave some little freebies out, because I think that would have been better for us personally. There was also meet and greets, which I would call an activity. There was all sorts of different meet and greets that might have been catered towards different people. And so there was a buy meet and greet, or there was a full swap meet and greet, or a soft swap meet and greet, or whatever the meet and greet was. I know there was a naked meet and greet. And so there was just a bunch of different meet and greets. And so I always think that we didn't personally go to any of them. I did talk to a few people that did go, and they said that they were really enjoyable. And so it's always nice to be able to, I feel like everyone in these spaces are always going to be somewhat like-minded, but then you niche down even more in a like-mindedness, which is always cool just to make those connections, and you're going to have this talking point of everything. So I like that they included meet and greets for sure.
I think it'd be cool to host a meet and greet. Maybe
agree.
we can do that next year, something like that.
So there was also like a podcaster meet and greet, and it was variable, if you want to call it that. And so there was people who were podcasters there. There was people who were listeners of podcasts, and they came in and, talked to people that they listened to. There was also people who maybe had just started podcast, or people who were in the space of starting a podcast that wanted to ask questions about getting started. And so kind of like the classes, you had people from listeners all the way to people who've been doing it for a long time, and everyone in between. And it was just this open space to discuss anything about podcasts, which we met a lot of people. It was nice, like Bella said earlier, to put some faces to names of podcasts that we have listened to before but didn't personally meet in person. And so it was just a really cool little hour and a half of just talking to friends and making new friends.
They also had activities like a scavenger hunt, which we tried to go to, and then we caught the end of it, and then they had already left. So we didn't get to do that, but that sounded really fun. They also had comedy shows at night, which were cool. And they had a peep show this was more at the nighttime, but they had this little thing set up that you could go in, and there was a burlesque performer, I guess you would say, a dancer or something. She was so pretty. She was like a pinup looking model, and she was, I guess, just more modeling, just kind of being sensual. And then you would look in the hole and see
it was
her.
like a keyhole almost. And it was awesome.
This podcast is brought to you by us, Bella and Jace. If you're going on a vacation, or maybe you have a gift that you want to give your other lifestyle friends and you're looking for lifestyle clothing, we have the best apparel on the market for you. We have not only clothing, bikinis, swimsuits, we have backpacks, tumblers, cups, anything that you can name, we probably have it. You can find that at 4OURPLAY.com/shop.
Let's say you're at a party, you're going on vacation, things are moving a little bit slow. Maybe you want some conversation to flow. Maybe you want to move stuff towards play. Well, we have the perfect game for you. It's called 4OURPLAY the Game. It is a digital and physical lifestyle icebreaker game, and you can find out all about it at 4OURPLAY.com/games. That's number 4OURPLAY.com/games.
If you don't have a lifestyle vacation planned, a resort or a cruise planned, why not? You can join us. You can find that at 4OURPLAY.com/playcation. We have not only information about the events and trips that we'll be on this year, but also other options for you as well. And it doesn't cost any extra for you to book through our links, but helps us a lot, helps us continue to be able to make this type of content for you. Now back to the show. They had this like ice sculpture that looked like a that
it was a luge.
Yeah, you could put your drink down and then you could catch it on the other side. So that was fun. They had like a lot of really cool, quirky things like that. I remember we spoke to Bob, who is the owner and creator of the event, and he was getting kind of more like art kind of installation kind of things like that put in or added into, and I think that was one of them, and that was really cool. Also at night, on one of the nights they had dancers that were kind of dispersed throughout the different dance areas at the ballroom, and they were dressed up in out of this world night. They were like lit up, and they're kind of like go-go dancers but more artsy.
Yeah, I'd almost say like what you would see at like an electric music festival, like the people that like will like wear different lights and dance and like make almost like an art show out of lights.
Yes,
I think that's the best way that I could describe it. And they had a lot of different ones. Sometimes they were on stage. They'd also be just dancing around the back of the room. I said everything was thought of. Like, It really was so cool. We're gonna build a little bit of anticipation here. We're gonna start with the playrooms, but we're gonna go to the Nopsy first, because the ones that they asked were even more exciting. So the Nopsy had a dungeon, and the dungeon there was a cross in there. There was a couple other things that I'm unfamiliar with the name, but toys, things like that. It was definitely a smaller room. And then there also was a playroom at the Nopsy. I want to say, when I counted, it was around 15 beds when we walked through there. It didn't have a theme or anything, but it kind of had that red feeling. It was sexy. There was some nice music. It looked really nice.
It had curtains. It was red and white curtains that you could open or close.
Yeah, the time we went in there would have been what I would say is probably a pretty normal time for people to be in the playrooms, and they weren't like packed, but it definitely was busy, but there was enough room for you to find a bed if that's what you were looking for.
And that was about 1:30 a.m.
Yeah. And so so that was the Nopsy playrooms. I do not remember ever reading that the Nopsy playrooms were open during the daytime. I know once we jump over to the Astor, there was daytime play sessions as well, but I do not remember the Nopsy having that. I could be mistaken. But now let's jump over to the Astor. Do you want to start talking about it? Because, man, it was something. You know what? Let me talk about the dungeon at the Astor, and then you can go over to all the playrooms. So the dungeon at the Astor was bigger than the one at the Nopsy. It was this huge room. There was a cross. There was this thing that also don't know the name of, but looks like a giant bird cage, if you will. It was really cool, but I don't know what that was called. There was like another cross, and then also they have these things that this is probably a terrible description, but it almost looked like a piece of workout equipment that you could do a lot of different angles of pull-ups on, and I know that's for like attaching people in different ways, so I'm trying to describe what that thing was.
That actually is what it is, though. Like it's like a converted workout.
Well, that's why
that's
it
what
looks
one
like
of the masters told me.
Oh, okay.
Masters. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what it is then, and I'm sure it's used for tying people up. I don't know the name of that, but it was very cool. And so they had that. It's also very nice lighting in there, kind of just a sensual, dark, sexy feel. And
they had toys.
And toys as well.
It was a nice dungeon.
Mm-hmm. And people were working that, obviously. There was people that were, monitoring, everything if you needed help or whatever. So now you can jump into the playrooms, because I've heard these were great, but it still blew me away.
Holy frickin' moly.
Yeah.
The nicest playrooms we have ever seen, and the most playrooms we have ever seen. It was an entire floor. So you had to go onto a completely different floor to get to the playrooms. You walk in and it's not a maze, but it kind of felt like it because there were so many different rooms.
Because you're going down the hallways.
Yeah. You walk down, there's one that's open, and it's like all different like conference rooms. I felt like Alice in Wonderland or something. And there were all themed in a way. One was just called like the open room, and there had to be 40 beds.
I bet at least. It was massive.
It was so big, and all of the beds were connected together.
But there was
separately.
Curtains. Yeah,
you
so
know what I mean? Yeah.
Almost like 4 beds together, and then like a curtain.
I think it was
like
6
4
beds.
It was huge. Go to our vlogs to watch. We have a video of it.
Yes. Go to our
You
vlogs.
can count it in there.
And it had red lighting. Oh, it smelled nice. It had nice music playing. It was such a sexy vibe. And then the curtains, they were red and white, and you can close them if you wanted. You can leave them open. They had little pillows in those areas. They had protection. They had water. Yeah. They had... everything that you would want they had towels.
Yeah.
Anything that you would need in a playroom, they had them in this area. And also you did have to be not in street clothes. So you had to be either naked or in lingerie or wearing a robe. And so that was another thing, that if you weren't staying at that specific hotel, you'd have to undress and then put your stuff in a bag. And they had bags if you needed to put your stuff in. And so like everything they've thought of. One of the other rooms that really made like an impact on us was the crystal room. So
insane.
You walk in and it's like beautiful, like white fairyish lighting, I guess. I would say
it was just like twinkle lights in a sense.
Yeah, they had chandelier
down.
Not a chandelier, but like beads, like clear beads as the curtain. And so that was for couples only, and you could watch or be watched. And it was just beautiful.
It was beautiful. And I will say, so if you guys don't watch all our vlogs, but you do specifically want to see the playrooms, I know it's the day 4 vlog within the first like 3 minutes of the video. I would go watch the video just to see the playrooms, because honestly the playrooms were so cool, and they were nice enough to like let us go in there before they opened one day so we could film them without anybody being in there, obviously, because like I don't even think describing it does it justice, and like the videos don't do it justice either, being there is totally different feel. But that crystal room was my favorite room I've ever seen.
There's probably about 8
to 10
to 10 beds in there, and it was more like separate beds, so it wasn't like an room, so it felt more intimate. And then there was a room that had 2 Sibians or motor bunnies, one of the two, definitely one of the things that had, and it had all of the different attachments that you could use. There were so many ones that, I mean, everything was like clean too, so you could use them hygienically, you know. And then in the Sibian room there was almost like seating, so you could watch everybody do it, which was cool, or use it. I mean, wait
in turn.
Yes,
I say it was almost like a sexy DMV, where like you sat there and like you could wait your turn, but instead of getting a driver's license, you gotta go get plowed by a bunny. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Exactly. There was a dark room, guys, completely dark. I was taken aback by this because it was.
You could develop photos in there. I mean, it was.
I know,
you
literally could. And I don't know how big it was because obviously it was so dark.
I don't know. It could have gone for miles. I didn't go check. I was like, wow, this is dark. I don't like the dark that much. And so it could have been a whole other floor. I don't know. I couldn't see.
That one wasn't for us, but we did step inside a little bit. I do. Not for us.
But it's awesome. It's really a cool idea.
I do want to talk about, this doesn't have anything to do with the playrooms, but I remembered somebody telling us about a meet and greet that happened that was blindfolded. So I think Jace mentioned that it was like a naked meet and greet, but there was one where you were blindfolded and naked.
Oh, wow.
So that's really cool because then you'll walk around, you're able to kind of feel people. Of course, everything is consensual. Yeah. And so, you're able to kind of walk around, feel people, and then, they tell you to like open your eyes or like take off your blindfold for a little bit and then put it back on, and then you like remove a piece of clothing.
Ooh, that's almost like a sexy Marco Polo.
Right?
That sounds pretty sick.
Next year I would like to get out of our comfort zone maybe and like try more of those hands-on meetups and
we'll see how you say. Let's see how you say about next year. You say that now. Let's see how you feel next year. Yeah.
What other playroom?
There was a bi playroom, so it was for like bi couples, which I think is really cool. There was a +1 playroom, so you could go in there and like if you're looking for a +1, and so there was other playrooms, but I mean there was another one that was really cool. There was a global playroom that also had it's not called a global, but it's like where you can get.
I can't remember.
Women's type situation. I've seen them like some Japanese that I've watched before. I don't know what that's called, but
with like a curtain.
Yeah, so you can see the body, but you can't see the body, and so I don't know.
You can also see the legs.
Yeah, you can see the legs.
So you're like laying down.
Yeah, you can see the legs and the body, no body.
Also, the glory hole though, it was big enough to where, I mean, if you were short, I could do it. Like I could bend over and somebody could do me from the other way. You know what I mean? So it was almost like.
But they had options if you just want to lay down and be relaxed.
Exactly.
Which is pretty cool. I don't know what that's called. I need to look up what that's called. And then there was a couple other like just playrooms in general, but I said it was a whole floor, so it was honestly so cool. And whenever we had heard people talk about this place, that people were like, oh, the playrooms are so cool, and I was like, I bet they are, but like we'll wait and see. It's been a while since I've been like taken aback by something like that, and I truly was. So if you're a big playroom person, I do not think that there is a better event in the world for you than Naughty and Nawlins if you are a playroom person. Sorry.
Exactly. Definitely. Naughty is worth going to literally just for the playrooms. Yeah. We're not even playroom people.
No.
So.
It was like art.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I guess I want to talk really quickly. I would say that it was decently busy in there too. Whenever we went, there was open beds, but people were playing everywhere. Like in all the rooms, we saw people using everything, doing everything, and so it was like a pretty busy playroom too, so it's definitely being used. Next, we're going to jump into food, and it's actually, I mean, it makes sense now, like thinking back how we said they've thought of everything, but Bella was like, I don't know, like, am I going to be hungry at night? Like, I like how the cruises have like a buffet right there. Of course they've thought of it. So at night during the parties, starting like right when the party started, they had an entire spread of food. There was fruit. There was like chips types, like, like, I don't know what kind of chips those are.
It's like hummus and pita chips.
Yeah, pita chips. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. And there was different kinds of cheeses, charcuterie, and then you move further down. There's some sauces and stuff to dip everything in. And then every single night they would have a couple different little items that were like hot food. So maybe it was like chicken skewers, or maybe it was like a samosa type thing, or an empanada, or a egg roll, or every single night they changed up. And they had these in the EDM room. They had them outside the normal room at the Astor, and then in the Nopsy, they also had an entire spread of food, and they refilled it throughout the night. So I will say, probably like 1:30 or 2, the food was like a little bit more picked over, but that first like 3 hours, they were constantly just replenishing that food. And so we ended up, like sometimes we'd go down and you'd just stop from dancing for a few minutes, have yourself a little snack, and it was perfect because it's actually kind of convenient. You don't have to like leave the party to go to a buffet to have a slice of pizza when you're just a little bit hungry and you want just a little bit of a refuel. Like, it's just all right there. So I was thoroughly impressed by the food.
And it was like the perfect type of food
Yeah.
for that kind of event and party and
I agree.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, you have like the
It was
fried stuff
sexy.
to like, we have like some fried stuff that if you wanted to eat something before you're drinking, like maybe it absorbs some of the stuff. But you also have, yeah, right, like the sexy like fruits and vegetables, and I don't know if sexy vegetables are, but the fruits are sexy, right?
And like those feel light. That's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
yes,
Like you have the option to feel light, or if you need something a little bit heavier, you could. But they were all small too. So it's not like you had to like sit and eat like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like mashed potatoes
It was
or
all
something
bite-sized foods, basically.
Exactly, like
one
hors
bite.
d'oeuvres.
Yeah. It's perfect. Like, it really, if I were to have a party that I was hosting myself, that is what I would do from now on, because it's the perfect kind of food.
Exactly.
You could just go, you could stick a couple on a plate, eat them real fast, be on with your day. And like, it's so smart.
So at the Nopsy, I feel like the food was a little bit better that they had there on the spread versus the Astor. But I think it's just because that's like the hotel food. So I think it's just the difference between the two hotels, kind of like what we were talking about. And then, go ahead.
I was gonna say also the Nopsy, because it wasn't as busy, I think there was also just even more food all the time, just because not as many people were there, so not as many people were eating the food.
And they're so on top of it in the way that, okay, the very first night, it was the second night at the Nopsy, because wasn't a party at the Nopsy on Wednesday, but there was on Thursday. So on Thursday, we went there at the very beginning to check it out, and there wasn't any light where the food was. So it was really dark, so it was kind of hard to see. And then the next day, they had lights there. So it's like they take people's recommendations, or like if somebody says something or has a complaint or whatever it is, they try to fix it
Then,
and, yeah.
not for the next year. Then.
And I think that's such, like, it says so much about the event.
I agree.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Also, I guess food wise, it was kind of cool because you have Bourbon Street and you have all of New Orleans right there walkable. And so like during the daytime, me and Bella, what we'd end up doing is we would almost go like buy food some days at like 3:00 because we didn't want to like go have a late dinner because we were getting ready for the parties and stuff. But like you could walk down and you could get like, that authentic New Orleans type food. And so it's really cool that you have the option of walking anywhere. So I mean, if you want, Domino's, which we got one night, or you want a McDonald's type thing, or you want like a sit down, expensive, nice steak restaurant, like you have all that because you're in a food city. But then you also, there's mini fridges in the hotel rooms. So we brought turkey sandwiches and stuff. So the days that we we ate a full meal early but wanted a little snack, we had something there. So like the food ended up working out really smoothly, really easily. And so I think it's awesome that you have like all of those options.
And that wasn't something I was expecting at all too. Mm-hmm. So going to, it's so rare that I go to an event, I'm like blown away at every part of it. But yeah, they thought of everything. This goes into what Jace was saying, but just how New Orleans is like a food city. The city itself where the convention is held, I think that New Orleans is very fitting, because not only are you going and you're able to be in a open lifestyle environment with the event itself, you can go outside of that and then experience New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And that's really cool because New Orleans itself is a really neat city. There's a lot of culture in New Orleans versus I feel like a lot of other hotel takeovers and stuff, they're not quite in such a culturally enriched city.
Well, it's not even just that. They play to the strengths so well that they have, because a lot of time at a hotel takeover, you never leave the hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting you out there. They're putting parties on Bourbon Street so you go experience the city that you're in. Like, Bob said that it used to not be in, like, the heart of New Orleans. It used to be outside of it. But they're like, we have this beautiful city, amazing city here. He's like, I don't want everyone just to be in a hotel. He's like, you could be in anywhere. You could be in Iowa.
You could be in,
you could be in Iowa, and if you just stay in a hotel, then what's the difference? But it's so cool because it's not like you're just getting the experience of going to a hotel takeover. You're getting the experience of a cool city. And in my opinion, like, New Orleans is one of the, I wouldn't say it's my favorite city in America, but I do think that there's so much that it offers in cultural wise and things to do wise. And so they play to the strength that they have there. And everyone was going outside and walking around the streets. And then they're also going back to, you have it all. And it's really like infused beautifully, if that makes sense.
There's so much option, and I think that's the best thing for this type of lifestyle, because
Swingers
we love options.
Yeah.
This also ties into where the location is in New Orleans, and also how it was an activity, but we kind of wanted to put it in a little separate part because it was so special. So they do a sexual freedom parade every year with this event, and it's one of the main attractions, main events of the event itself. And it was amazing. It's hard to put into words, but they do at night. So you can go and you can make posters like an hour before if you want to. And then our community, the people who are at this event, if you want to, you parade together around a block, just advocating.
It's a few blocks, but
is it a few blocks? Oh yeah, a couple blocks. Not very long. I would say 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
15 minutes probably.
Yeah, so not too long, but just being surrounded by so many like-minded people and being out in the open, parading and holding signs and just having that camaraderie and being able to feel like yourself and be yourself. Having a specific activity like that for the people who are going to the event, I think was so incredibly special and cool. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever done in the lifestyle.
I agree. They had police escorts. They had this cool like swing type thing. I mean,
they had floats. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there was floats and people throwing out beads. There's people on the sides of the roads that were like cheering that weren't part of the parade. And I remember getting back from the parade, sitting down in our hotel room and just like decompressing for a second. I was like, I think in the 10 years, and I'm not including, like there's been amazing moments between like people that have come with our groups or people we've met, but like a specific activity, I don't think that I've ever felt that much joy from something lifestyle related. Like Bella said, it truly was magical. I will never forget that moment. Next year, it'll be the moment I look forward to the most because there was just something so special about it. It felt so freeing. It felt like I felt so proud because we sit here all the time like promoting it and we know so many people like they can't say those things, right? To be in this place where everyone was either in mask if they didn't want to be like seen, or just out there promoting it, like and it
and
felt
promoting in the way of just like being proud of who we are.
Yeah,
We're not like promoting everybody into non-monogamy. No. It's just like saying that we are proud to be and have a relationship structure like this.
I think you're trying to say it's just like a valid form of relationship, and to be able to celebrate that with other people who also think that in a safe space, but in a public setting, not in some hotel room hidden away. Like you're in the streets marching with your community and you have police there to move along with you. It's like it truly was incredible, magical, unbelievable, and to me that was the highlight of the entire thing.
It was so cool to see the people on the sidelines who aren't a part of this be happy for us. And I think I'm gonna like start crying. I think that it was so like crazy to see because we're so stigmatized, and just being on the internet, we get so much hate that okay, hold on. Let me compose myself and I will be back. Okay, I am back. I have composed myself. But anyways, yeah, it was just so special. And it's just so Swing Nation podcast was giving out these little flags that had, it said Swing Nation, but it had like the upside down pineapple on it, and then just seeing people just like wave those around, like I just thought it was like so special, and it was really cool, and I can't wait to just like do it again.
I agree.
Yeah. So we did say the playrooms. We were like, if you could do one thing, like the playrooms are already worth it. But if you really want to, feel that, I don't know, connection to so many people around you, and I really would highly recommend being a part of the parade. And I know it's hard because it's out in the open and it's in public, and people are taking pictures, people are posting on social media, and I know that it's hard to completely be, you know, have this relationship out in the open, but we met people that wore masks. I know, but even still, like, it's hard, you know, because people's like jobs
you have
and
options.
Stuff.
Like,
just...
if you want to like go, but you're not like able to completely, like, there is like.
But you can even watch, you know, like that's another thing too. Like, even if you didn't want to parade, you can also see and just watch and like be a part of it from afar. Yeah. You know, and that's oh my god, I'm gonna cry again. Okay, let's go to the next thing before I cry again.
Yeah, I'll go next thing. I want to talk about staff real quick. Staff was incredible. First of all, the hotel staff at both hotels were just wonderful. I mean, everyone was absolutely great. And then all of I think they called them the naughty crew, maybe I'm making that up.
That's what we call our
maybe that's what I'm thinking. The people who work at Naughty, who are the people who work, they all wore these purple shirts. You saw a ton of them, and they were all wonderful. Every experience with every single person that was working that event was truly wonderful. Everyone made you feel safe. I'm going to give you one of my favorite examples. We were like riding in one of the little carts on the way home, and Bella was like, we were talking to this couple that we were going back to our room for a little after party with, and we had talked about Fall Out Boy being part of like our youth, and Bella was like, should we request Fall Out Boy, just as like a joke? And then the guy driving the golf cart put on Fall Out Boy. And like there was like just little moments like that where like the staff tried so hard to make everybody feel welcome and good and safe and fun, and it honestly really was just, it was really a special group of people who were working the playrooms, working all of it. So I couldn't say enough good things about all the people who worked there.
And everyone was smiling too. I believe you could be an ambassador or you can volunteer as well. There's you can check the Naughty website for more information about that. But yeah, like everybody was smiling. Everyone was happy. You could see that people were excited to be there and do that job. And I think that says so much.
You didn't really mention it earlier, but people always do ask, like, what is the rule on the optional nudity type aspect of it? So at like the nighttime parties, I know at both places, also on the Bourbon Street parties, at the pool parties, I always saw people topless or women topless. And so that was allowed. And then
I wouldn't say it was a majority though.
No.
At the pool parties, yes, a majority, but at nighttime parties, most people are in their outfits, but it could be scantily clad. Wouldn't necessarily, not a ton of people were completely topless.
Yeah. And then at the Astor Hotel, I believe you could be fully nude there because of the way the hotel set up. It's like so much higher than all the rest. Like there's no other hotels that can see it.
But only at the pool party.
Yeah, so at the pool party you could be fully nude there, but that is besides the playrooms, obviously. It was the only place you could be like fully nude at the event.
Yeah, so you can't be, you know, fucking around not just like around, but you couldn't be fucking in any other areas of the hotel either. It was only the playrooms that you could actually be playing. So it's not like you're gonna walk in and then everybody's nude and having sex in the lobby or in the hotel hallway. So it's not like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it truly was a convention about being open, and there's a lot of lifestyle people there, and it was so cool. It ticks all the boxes.
Overall, like in conclusion, I was really trying to think, and there's not anything that I disliked about this event.
No, nothing.
And I'm like truly saying that. I mean, I think it had everything that an amazing lifestyle event would want to have. I think they do it all extremely well. The people are absolutely incredible, like the actual event goers. So many amazing people. They had different types of music, they had food, they had options, they had, the location is cool. Like I really can't think of anything that I disliked about it.
I agree, and they really, I said, they tick all the boxes, and so I could not more highly recommend Naughty Nawlins. I said, if you guys do want to go next year and you want to come with a group, we love if you come with us. Go to 4play.com/events and you can book Naughty through us. And I said we're going to do a little meet and greet and, a fun little group dinner, give out some swag, all that kind of fun stuff that we do for all the other events that we go to and people book through us. So, we really love if you guys would come with us, because the more people, the merrier, and that event deserves to have a lot of people. And I will say, the one thing that I think you might have got from us talking about it, for us personally, we would say at the Astor next year, if it was an option, strictly because our outfits are more revealing. I like to be able to walk straight down to the party, not have to possibly wait on, the cars coming back and forth. And I like the more party atmosphere. So I think that's what I would choose for me personally. So I think if you are more of a chill type person, staying at the Nopsy is better for you. I think if you're more like party heavy, the Astor is better. And,
I think convenience too.
Yeah.
If you're wanting convenience to be more at where it's just more things going on, I think it makes more sense to stay at the Astor. But if you don't mind kind of just going with the flow, and you want better accommodations, then at the Nopsy. Yeah. I wouldn't say that personally, unless it was completely sold out, I probably wouldn't stay at one of the overflow hotels, just because there's not any parties at those hotels or any seminars. If
it was completely sold out, I would still stay at one of those hotels over not go at all.
That's true.
So
yeah.
There it
exactly.
is. There is. So that's our review. I said, I truly am sorry if we forgot something, because I'm sure there was events that went on that we didn't even know about, because so much happened all the time.
Oh, there was a ton. There's no way that we could talk about.
No, I said there's probably even ones that I didn't even see on the schedule, because there was so many things to read.
You have examples of previous schedules on their website, and so if you go to our website, we'll link it. We'll make a whole page for Naughty, and then you can find all the information there, and you can find that in the description below, but we'll have it linked.
Yeah. But there it is. There's our review of Naughty 2024. Incredible event. Cannot say enough good things about it. And I guess we'll go into Belle and Jace's weekly obsessions. I am going to do my weekly obsessions. So I'm going to go 3 here, actually. One is the song Rockstar by Lisa, like La Lisa from Blackpink. That came out actually whenever we were at Naughty. And I am fully obsessed with that song. I love the music video. Lisa is my favorite of all of the K-pop performers. And I love the music video. I love the song. And so, yes, that is one for me. Lisa, Rockstar, yes. My second one is learning Spanish. I said I was going to learn Spanish for years. And I've actually started. We spent the last several weeks starting to actually learn Spanish through this program called Language Transfer, which is essentially taking the Latin roots that go between English and Spanish and learning how to basically learn. I don't know. I feel like it's one of the better ways for me anyway to learn Spanish. So I have been fully committing to learn Spanish. We're going to be at Desire here in a couple months from now. And I would love to be able to actually speak some whenever I am there. And so that is my goal, is to be somewhat conversational. And so I've thoroughly been enjoying learning Spanish. It feels very different than when I was in school and had to learn it, because I didn't want to at that point in my life for whatever reason. I was probably because I was an idiot. But now that I'm choosing to learn it, it truly is really fun. And so you've been learning with me, and that's been really nice to do together. And
they have an app for that we can link below. Also, it's on YouTube, so if you wanted to do it on YouTube, you can as well, and it's very, very helpful, especially if English is your main language.
Yeah. And then my third one, I'm just going to drop this in here because I actually had this as an obsession. I don't know exactly what podcast it was. It was probably, it was several podcasts ago. But Chapel Roan, when I said she was my weekly obsession, she had started to be my weekly obsession. And now it's become this full-fledged, I'm so fucking obsessed that it's kind of ridiculous. I'm in love with this woman. I think that she is so incredible, so talented. Her music is so good. And the more and more that I watch her, the more and more that I kind of like find out who she is, I think she is incredible. The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess is one of my favorite albums of all time. So please go listen to it because it's just, she's so fucking good. And I don't know what to say. I love her, and that's it.
Agreed. Love Chapel Roan. Did you guys know that Elton John, I think Chapel is one of Elton John's favorite music artists, and that says a lot. That is crazy. Imagine being able to flex that.
Yeah,
like incredible. I also heard that somebody said that People's Chapel was like People's Lady Gaga. So it's like people's Lady Gaga. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So it's like,
You explained it way better to me when you explained it to me.
I did.
Yeah.
How did I say it? So it's like
People who really loved Lady Gaga, like that generation's Lady Gaga is Chappell Roan. And people who really
that's what I'm trying to say.
loved Lady Gaga, like the people before that loved Madonna. And the people before that loved Cher. And it's like that kind of generational artist for that group of people.
So if you love any of those ladies and you haven't heard Chappell Roan, definitely stream Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess.
The whole fucking album.
And Good Luck Babe, because that's not on the album.
Yeah.
Okay, my weekly obsessions, music-wise. So a K-pop girl group named STAYC. I really, really love them, and their album, I believe it's Metamorphosis. I always listen to the album all the way through, but I never actually look at the album name. I've been obsessed with that, so I just keep playing that on repeat. It's not as good as Chappell Roan, I will say, but I have been loving STAYC. And then my other one is we recently watched a movie called Kinds of Kindness, and it's one of those super artsy type of weird movies. The director of Poor Things also directed this, and a lot of the same actors are also in this movie. So there's Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, which I didn't know his name was Willem Dafoe for... I think it was only within the last 2 years that I realized his name was Willem and not William.
Yeah, me too.
Always called him William Dafoe. And Jace made a joke yesterday. He was like, oh, but what about Willem Dafoe? And then I can't remember her last name, but her first name is Margaret, and she was also in Poor Things. So she's also in the film Kinds of Kindness, and Jesse Clemens. And
Plemons
with the P?
Yeah.
I thought his name was Jesse Clemens with the C.
With the P.
Oh, man. Well, anyway, so Jesse Plemons, and there is, I don't want to give it away. Like, you have to just go watch it.
Just watch it. That's it. Just watch it.
I want to say, you cannot watch that movie and tell me that swingers don't love each other. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. You guys should go watch it.
Also, Hunter Schafer's in that movie, and I love Hunter Schafer so much, and I was like so excited because she showed up. I was like, oh my god, yay! And she's in the movie for like 5 minutes.
I don't even think 5 minutes. It was so sad.
4 minutes.
I know.
Not enough time.
They put her in the poster.
Yeah.
Don't be using her like that. And then
it got me.
It got me too. Honestly, like if
Yeah.
she wasn't in it, I don't know if I would have been as excited to go watch it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
she was great for the 4 minutes she was in there. But I mean, she didn't really like get to do that much. I mean, she didn't get to show off her acting chops that much, but I still love her. So, you know, it was great.
And those are my 2 weekly obsessions. I know you did 3. I don't know, when did you start adding an extra one?
I just want to do Chappell Roan again just because I feel like I didn't talk about it enough the last time, so I just added a 3rd one this time.
I see.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully that helps you make a decision if Naughty was right for you. I said come with us, 4OURPLAY.com/events. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next one.
Bye.
If you'd like to support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to our podcast. All our information will be listed in the show notes below and on our website, 4OURPLAY.com. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we make videos and vlogs about the swinging lifestyle. Head to 4OURPLAY.com/YouTube to watch and subscribe. We have the ultimate adult party game for the sexually inclined called 4OURPLAY the Game that's both digital and physical. It's perfect for breaking the ice and spicing up any party. You can find more information at 4OURPLAY.com/games. We also have the best swinger lifestyle, kinky, and adult humor clothing and accessories that you can find at 4OURPLAY.com/shop. If you're looking to plan a lifestyle destination, booking through our links at 4OURPLAY.com/travel really helps support the show and helps us be able to continue to create this type of content for you. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and more. You can find all our current social media accounts at 4OURPLAY.com/socials, and I have an OnlyFans which you can find at onlyfans.com/BellaLunaVIP. We also have a Facebook group and Discord community and would love for you to join us. You can find the direct links in the show notes below. Lastly, we're on STC and Cassidy at 4OURPLAY, and you can get a free full membership trial by using our link. You can email us at hello@4OURPLAY.com with any questions or comments, or head to 4OURPLAY.com/ask. Again, all our information will be listed in the show notes below, and we thank you so much for listening to our podcast. See you in the next one. Bye!